Last week, the government announced something that has largely slipped under the radar and not been reported by the media. That is that those travelling to the UK via asylum routes and who are allowed to settle must repay their costs to the UK taxpayer. Now, I first proposed this in Parliament at the start of 2025, and the government ignored it until now.
Why is it that the government does not explore a scheme whereby, if asylum seekers are genuinely deemed to be in fear and allowed to integrate and remain within the UK, that when they become economic contributors and they are active in the workplace, that they should not repay their debt through some similar scheme, a tiered sliding scale that recognises the cost that the UK taxpayer is expected to shoulder?
I propose this because this is about fairness to the UK taxpayer. People who go out to work, pay their taxes, who want society to work, they're currently on the hook for up to billions of pounds of costs to support those who are coming to the UK via illegal routes and who are not necessarily economically active or contributing to society. The UK taxpayer cannot fund this indefinitely. So what has the government proposed? The government have said that those who come to the UK and settle and who earn £26,900 a year will have to repay costs that could be deducted a bit like a student loan at source, or could be via an optional direct debit. There are several flaws in this. Firstly, I'm highly sceptical as to how many of these people who've travelled to the UK via these means earn £26,900. I suspect very few. And that means that very few will ever be liable to repay their costs. And secondly, this idea of an optional direct debit is ludicrous. Very few are likely to set that up. So the government has to do two things. It has to ensure that it puts in place a really strong deterrent to stop the pull factors of illegal migration. That's not in place right now. And secondly, it has to ensure that the threshold is so low that it will capture the vast majority of people who've come here, and it must always be deducted in a mandatory fashion at source without people having any control over whether the government can or cannot deduct such funds. And this is to restore faith and fairness in the system for the benefit of the UK taxpayer.